Hi, this is Matthew Cheung. I am founder of Work in Fintech, and today we're going to be doing a deep dive into what to expect in the Work in Fintech Creator Summit, which is a hackathon, which is going to be on January the 24th in 2025. I'm just going to share my screen. So yeah, this is the Work in Fintech Creator Summit. We're joined by two of our sponsors. One of them is Payabl and the other is ipushpull. And the Investment Association is actually the venue where we're going to be hosting the event, which is just off Bishopsgate in the City of London. So what we're going to cover today, so a few things. I'm just going to give you a bit of an introduction first, then we'll jump into what the hackathon is, what the problem statement is, what the requirements are, what to expect on the day. We'll then jump into some of the tools that we expect you to be thinking about for using for the day itself. So we'll give you some examples of how we are using AI tools and no-code tools, and then we'll jump into some individual actual applications that we use regularly, and we'll show you very briefly kind of what they are, what they look like, and how you could potentially use them. After that, we'll then talk about we're going to put you together in teams and how is a good way to manage a team, to put together a team, what type of people and roles you would need in a team. And again, what some of the tools are that you'd want to be using to kind of optimize managing your team, because still plenty of time before January 24th. So you can get cracking on this hackathon now. So to start off with, just introducing everyone. So yeah, I'm Matthew Cheung, but joined today we have Thekla. Thekla, do you want to just introduce yourself and just talk about what you're doing in your company?
Yes, for sure. Hey everyone, I'm Thekla. I'm the CTO on Payabl. So what we are doing on Payabl, we're a payment institution and providing a lot of fintech technologies and fintech solutions to our merchants. We are mainly B2B company. So our main purpose is to help our merchants to make sure that the payment processing flow is as easy as possible. So this is our responsibility to make sure that our merchants are able to process payments as fast, secure as possible. And using these flows in place, the AI flows help us to increase our own productivity internally, but also the security and the fast payments for our clients.
Great, thank you. And your colleague, Breno Oliveira, he's the product lead. He's going to be joining us later on. Thanks for that, Thekla. And then over at ipushpull, Jag, do you want to introduce yourself and what your company does?
Yeah, sure. Afternoon, guys. So I'm Jag. I'm currently a solutions engineer with ipushpull. With me is Imran, who's one of the lead front-end engineers. So what we do is we are a data workflow platform. We help connect clients' data to other sources. So we have a lot of services, including sort of Excel add-ins. And currently we're trying to add in sort of AI solutions as well. So yeah, that's us.
And you've been building a few GPT-powered things yourself, haven't you?
Yep, so I'm sure we'll go into some of the GPT stuff. I think Imran's going to do some demonstrations with GPT and Claude and how we can sort of use that for the challenge. I've been sort of trying to streamline and automate some of our workflows with GPT. So I've been trying to create a all-in-one purpose GPT, which sort of does everything sort of by itself. So we sort of just give it some data and we can connect to our API and sort of push data to our API through that. So it's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Imran, do you want to say hello?
Yeah, sure. Hi, so my name's Imran. I work as a front-end developer over at ipushpull. So I'll show you some of the tools that we use internally and also some of the other tools that you can use yourself as well. So we're heavily involved with AI at the moment. We use it for like code generation, writing unit tests, end-to-end tests, even documentation and stuff. So yeah, so I look forward to speaking to you guys today.
Right, so we'll kick off first. Thekla, do you want to just talk through the problem statement and what actually we're looking for people to achieve on the day?
Yes. So, as I mentioned, as a company, we are involved in the financial environment and the financial world. So we can see not only for our merchants, but a lot of individuals that they are having struggles to manage their personal finances. So the problem that we're trying to solve through this hackathon and the solution that we are requiring from the team is to build a product where they will be able to help persons to manage their personal finance while having limited financial knowledge. Some lack of accessibility and some personal guidance should be considered on building that product. So the hypothesis that we put in place is by creating an AI-powered personal financial assistant that can be providing real-time budgeting advice, tailored investment guidance, and clear goal tracking, where they can improve their financial literacy, reduce the debt that they may have, and also to help the users to achieve their saving and investment goals.
Right, thank you, Thekla. So I guess, like with any technology projects, we have what's called requirements and kind of key features. Can you just, before you jump into what the requirements are, can you explain what requirements are? Because for someone who might not be from a coding background, that word might not mean that much to them.
Yeah. So as we mentioned on the problem hypothesis, so we have some requirements that are needed. One of them is budgeting. So we need to make sure that the app that will be created will track spending and incoming to be able to categorize the expenses, and also, if possible, to offer suggestions on optimizing the budgeting. Another thing is saving goals. So the users should be able to set their saving goals. So the AI model that will be chosen to provide strategies to achieve them. For example, can be identifying not unnecessary expenses or high volume expenses and having some alternatives on products or on services to reduce the expenses and increase the saving goals. The debt management. So if the user has a debt, to also to be able to provide them a tailored advice of paying off quicker and faster their debt, and avoid any hidden fees. Also, maybe suggesting like high interest credit cards based again on the user's financial situation and the user financial data. Investment recommendations, I mentioned before, also one of the features is investment recommendations. So again, utilizing AI on how to trade or purchase investments or made investment on low risk. So again, before evaluating an investment, we should know the risk categorization. So AI will be able to help and provide, and through that app that we're gonna build, a feature is how we categorize the risk, what is the best investment advice based on the user data. Lastly, it's financial education. Through the latest papers around the world, we noticed that the younger people and a lot of personal people, they don't have enough financial education. So it's not only building the app and managing budgeting, saving, or providing investment goals, but through the app, we should be able to provide them some educational modules to teach them the basic of finance. And for sure, whatever we build needs to be secured, and we need to consider the data privacy, masking, encrypting the data, floating of the data, and whatever we do is on a more secured environment.
Great, thank you. And in terms of on the day as well, we'll have speakers who are from companies that have solved for some of these problems as well. So, for example, on the budgeting and savings and debt management, we've got the founder and CEO of a company called Sprive, They'll be talking. We have Mary Agsbenoana, who is from Lloyd's, who's built a wealth application, and also the Chief Commercial Officer, Simon Moran from TransferGo, which is like a payments company. So there'll be people who have built applications and have made multi-million and billion-dollar companies from them. So you'll be in front of the right people when you create this stuff. Also got some people from the investing world. Someone called John Shepherd from Plurimi. He's been a high net worth wealth manager for decades, so he can talk about investing and financial education. And on the data side, we have the Chief Information and Security Officer, Mario from Payabl, who's going to be talking about data privacy, and also someone called Martin O'Gorman, who's head of data science at a company called Parameter. So the idea of this challenge is very much for you to get your hands on and learn these skills, but also through doing this and starting to understand it now before the event, when we get to the event, you will actually be able to meet people who do all these things as their day job, essentially, and then start to ask them some really good questions. And that's the idea of what we're doing here. In terms of the day itself, there's 2 streams, because we want to keep it open for everybody, because some people can't. I can't code. Funny enough, I run a technology company with ipushpull, but I can't code. I never have been able to. But you don't always need to be able to code to work in a technology company. There's lots of jobs outside of just development. However, the challenge is to build an application, and there's different ways you can do that. You can be a coder and you can write it using code, or what Imran is probably going to be showing you is how you can use a lot of these AI tools to really scale up and leverage what you can do in terms of the ability and speed of things. And on the other side of it, there's lots of things you can use without using code. Like Jag has got some, you can code, but it's not to the level that Imran can. But you are utilizing all these no-code AI-driven tools, which means that anyone can create an application. That's what we really want to be talking about today. In terms of the day itself, there'll be teams. You'll be put into a team of like 5 to 7 people. By the time we get to the day on January the 24th, we'll really expect you just to be probably polishing off your demo, your app, working out your pitch, because there's going to be like a Dragon's Den style pitch where you'll be pitching in front of everybody there, but then you'll be judged as well. And you'll be judged on those requirements that Thekla was just talking about. How well do you score in each of those? As well as how well you work in a team. We do look at that as well. But by the time we get to the day, you'll be expected to pitch and show your application, or at least have some screenshots and maybe some slides. We expect that, and we expect a good presentation as well. So on the day, there's going to be some pitching workshops as well to talk to you about that. And then before we get again to the event, probably sometime in the middle of January, as you'll be paired up with your teams, fairly soon, but you'll also be paired up with your mentors as well. So we'll put you in touch with them. So if you have any questions, anything you want help with, you can start that ball rolling. So there's no need to wait until doing everything on the day. We're not expecting that. We're expecting you to be working on this before we get to that. Just as an example about, all of us on the call, we're all kind of working in companies and and working in technology companies. We all use a variety of tools that we're going to talk through today. But for example, like one tool that I just used this morning for a bunch of research I needed to do very quickly is Google's Notebook LM, which is a fantastic tool. If you haven't tried it yet, it's free to use. But kind of the example here, we're talking about someone essentially that needs to be scanning through lots of information. And I actually did this morning where I needed to do some market sizing for a technology grant application that we're writing. And I needed to basically read through about 50 research reports to find out the sizes of different markets. How did I do that? Well, I just grabbed all those reports, put them into Notebook LM, and now I can use a natural language query to query 50 research reports. So if you imagine I read 50 research reports, that would take me weeks, whereas that took me probably like 10 minutes to kind of pull all that together. So it's really leveraging the speed of which you can do stuff. So it's super important. But Notebook LM is one thing you can try, but now we're going to deep dive into some of the tools that we think might be very useful for you for the challenge itself. So we're going to kick off first with kind of split them up between kind of AI and no-code tools, and then AI and coding tools. So we'll start off with the AI and no-code tools, and Jag's going to talk about Glide.
Yeah, sure. So let me just share my screen. Glide is actually an app that me and Matt first used when we first started working fintech. So
That's right.
We have some legacy apps here, but let's just create a new app. What's really cool is Glide have introduced sort of multiple ways to create a new app. So you can start it with data if you already have data. So again, this is where I know that I think Thekla or Imran are going to talk about Airtable next. But let's say that you had some fake financial data that you wanted to use for your app, then you could use Google Sheets, you could import a file as well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate an app using AI. So I want a financial management app with budgeting, investments, savings, education. What's really cool is it will actually create the app for you. It'll actually ask you if you are happy with it. So it's already created a mock app for me, so I don't have to do any of the setup myself. I'm going to create the app. And the best thing about Glide is the sort of the intuitive interaction that you can have with it. So again, it's already created the app for me. It looks like a real app. You can then publish it to your phone, and then you can sort of download a QR code and sort of view it on your phone as well as a web URL. And what you can do now is you can go into each section and you can add different components. So you could add an image, you could add a card down here below.
And this you just built from scratch with that prompt. You didn't do this beforehand.
No, I've literally just done this live in front of you guys, and that's what makes Glide really, really useful. The AI feature wasn't available when we used it back in the day, but yeah, obviously they've introduced it, and it's really, really useful. I did mess around with it the other day just to test it out, but yeah, you can then go into each card. So this is a card, so each of these are cards, and then what you can do is you can change the data in each card. You can change it into a list if you want, like this. You can change it into a table. You can change it into a checklist if you really want. So say this is a savings goal, it's now changed it to true. Obviously you can change that sort of stuff, but it's just a really interactive way of sort of creating an app, in my opinion. Again, you can add workflows to this. So you could you could even send an email from your Gmail. You could send a message from Teams, you could Slack, you could do pretty much a lot of things. And again, like if I was you, I'd maybe create some sort of workflow which would demonstrate ease of use. So let's say someone's at work, they have some sort of financial goal that they want to set. They could maybe send an email to the app and it would pop up. That'd be really cool to display. Again, just sort of use your imagination with workflows. Anything that you think would make it easier to sort of use the app and interact with it would be best. And then just finally, I guess, before wrapping up, so this is the layout. Again, everything's up here at the top, and then everything on the navigation is on the left, and everything for each sort of navigation item is on the right. Very, very simple to use, very, very intuitive. And then finally, you also have a data sort of section, and this is where sort of you can class this as like the back end of Glide, where sort of you can add in different data, you can add different images, you can add, and then within the layout itself, it will reference those things in the metadata. So again, it's a very, very cool way of sort of showing you the front end, but then also allowing you to manipulate the back end without sort of getting into databases and stuff. So yeah, when we first started working in fintech a couple of years ago, this is what me and Matt used. Was very, very intuitive. It definitely gave me a good sort of avenue into web apps in general. I didn't really have the back end or the front end sort of experience, but this is definitely something that I think could be useful for you guys with your financial management app. So yeah, any questions regarding Glide, then feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, I think I'll let the other guys sort of discuss the other tools now.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jag. Imran, do you want to cover Airtable?
Yeah, sure. Let me just grab control. Can you see my screen?
Just loading.
Hello?
Yep, you can see it.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just have a look. Okay, so in terms of tools, the one that Jag just showed you is probably going to be your primary tool if you're trying to build an app, but it's worthwhile having a look into Airtable as well. So what Airtable is, it's basically it's an online cloud-based platform to manage your data. The main selling point of Airtable is that it's as simple as a spreadsheet to use, but it has like the power of a database. And you can also like implement workflows and lots of like integrations and stuff as well. And then recently, as most no-code tools are doing, they've introduced like AI features as well. So when you go to the Airtable website, you can just sign up for the free plan to begin with. So you'll see the various platform features here. So if we click on app building here, and straight away you get this kind of interface, and you can see straight that it's giving you like sample apps that you might want to build. So let's say I need to manage shipments of fresh fruit from Malaysia to Denmark. So you can select that and it'll boot up a prompt, and then it'll use like AI in the background to actually create the skeleton of the app for you. So if you just click next, you can kind of see the app being generated here. And you can do all this on the free plan. You don't need to sign up for the actual advanced plans. So, yeah. So you get yourself like a little app here. It's got like a schema similar to what you might have in a database. So this is the primary thing about Airtable is really about managing data. So as your first point of building the app, you probably want to get into Glide, and then you can, if you've got any like database stuff that needs to be done, you could probably spin it up in Airtable. And as Jag showed you, you've got integration into Airtable from Glide. The other cool stuff you can do on here as well, if you've got platform, so look, it's got loads of integration and workflow features as well. So you can like connect to Slack, you can connect to like Teams, WhatsApp, almost any type of cloud-based integration platform here. So you just click on this. It's like a Salesforce, Box, Dropbox, Google Calendar, even Instagram and stuff. So you can pull in some like really cool data into your data stack. And like I said, it's got like AI features built into it as well. I think you get like a small amount of credits on the free plan, which should hopefully be enough to get you going. So yeah, I'll hand back to Matt now to talk through the next step.
Great, thanks, Imran. Thekla, do you want to cover off Zapier?
Yes, for sure. Let me share my screen. Okay, do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So as the other team members mentioned, Zapier does the same thing. It's a really cool application where you can automate workflows, you can have tables with automated data, interfaces, chatbots, canvas, but mostly the usage of Zapier is the zaps, where you can create a already pre-created sum to showcase. So this one is very cool way of creating workflows. The specific ones is when triggers a Google Sheet, a new row, sending some Slack messages, but it's not only that, it has more than 7,000 apps that can be integrated. Either it's Slack, either it's Airtable, either it's Stripe, Asana, WhatsApp. So you can choose, you can specify the events You connect your account. Okay, I don't have account here, but for Google Sheet, for example, on the configuration, you have multiple ways of showing. Yeah, if it's new spreadsheet, new row added, new worksheet, what details, what configure, what you want it to do. So on the specific demo that I created, it sends a Slack message. So it identifies when a new row is created. It sends to Slack a notification. So Zapier, as I mentioned before, it has more and more similar to the other tools that the team was presented, but also can link all the tools AI and not AI together. And in financial assistance challenge can be either you can link to Stripe whenever a Stripe receives to send something on another tool or to send a notification to the app that you will be creating. For the expenses tracking, again, to connect all the financial that will link the app details together in terms of prediction of saving goals or debt. Also, it has notifications, as I mentioned, alerts, emails, SMS, Slack notifications. Chatbots, Canvas are on beta phases. So I'm mostly commenting to use Zaps, tables, and interfaces in place. It's a really cool and really easygoing and easy to learn tool in place, which has also predefined templates, either for applications, social media, and it has more and more day by day that can be used for your prototyping, for your app. That's it from Zapier.
Right, thanks, Thekla. And we'll be moving on now to the next AI and coding tools. So you heard from Imran earlier. Imran is a coder and has been doing it for quite a long time, but he's going to talk about now how AI has actually significantly changed his workflow. Over to you, Imran.
Okay, yeah. So the next two tools, Cursor and Replit, they're both very similar in terms of what they offer you as a developer. And I think if you're interested in building out a career in development programming, these are the two tools that you really need to jump into now and start learning, because they will really accelerate your ability to code. And almost everything that we do now as developers where AI is touching it. So like I said earlier, code generation, writing unit tests, writing end-to-end tests, even writing documentation from existing code for us. So it's, it's just as useful as the internet for us to now. So they become like indispensable tools. So the main difference between these is Cursor is one that runs locally on your desktop. So you have to download it. And if you've done development work before, you might be familiar with Visual Studio Code, which is a Microsoft tool. So what Cursor have done is they've taken the open source version of Visual Studio Code and they've built like an AI stack on top of that. And likewise, Replit does a lot of stuff, but in terms of coding, it's essentially a development environment inside the cloud. So you don't have to download it onto your machine, and you can hook up into like GitHub, and you can do deployments from this as well. And it's got like AI agents and stuff built into it as well. So if I just show you my own development environment here. So as you see, this is my development environment here. It looks almost identical to Visual Studio Code because all they've done is taken the open source version of that and built on top of it. But the cool thing that you see here is you get this like chat GPT window onto the right hand side. So initially when AI came out, what we were doing is we were taking like bits of code and sticking it into chat GPT on the web or getting requirements and put them in there. But the good thing about Cursor is because we've now got AI built into the development environment, it knows the context of my entire code base. So I can like drag and drop files into here to give it like further context and start probing it questions about those files and stuff. So I mean, it's really easy to use. So in here, you just got a prompt. You can point it to like various different AI models as well. So I've got it pointed to cloud here. So here I can just say something like, write me Fibonacci function, something really simple, something which I probably can do off the top of my head as well, but just for the purposes of demo. Then what it does, it'll shoot it off to the AI model, and it'll come back with the entire code here. So look, it's actually come up with various different examples. So it's come up with one example which is using recursive. It's come up with another example which is using an iterative approach, which it thinks is more efficient. So I didn't even prompt it to do that. I just said to it, look, write me a Fibonacci function, and it's come up with like 4 different ways to do it. So one is like using an array. The other one is like using something called memoization. So it's really powerful. Then you can either just copy and paste them from here into your code block here, or you can apply it directly from here as well. So you've got like a little apply function here, and you can see it it'll add it to the code base here. And the other thing that we used it a lot for is, like I had it open here, is once we've actually written some code, we try and get it to generate like unit tests for us. So if you've got a file like this and we say, okay, we want to unit test this, we'll say, can you go away, write the unit tests? And then we do like a code coverage on it to see how much of the code is covered. And if there's any gaps in it, we either just manually write them or prompt the AI again. So yeah, this thing, you can take a blank sheet and you've got stuff like this composer, and you got like chat as well, and you can just say like, spin me up a website that uses React and Next.js and TypeScript and Tailwind, and it'll just start that from scratch for you. And then yeah, I think out of all the tools today, I think if you're interested in coding, it's seriously, this is what you want to be getting familiar with Cursor. And likewise, Replit is very similar as well, but that's kind of based in the cloud, so you don't have to install anything locally onto your machine as well. But that's got a feature called Ghostwriter as well, which will do a lot of these AI code generation stuff for you as well. Okay.
Great, thank you. Thekla, do you want to talk about DataRobot and Google Cloud's ML?
Yes, for sure. Let me share my screen first. Okay. So you'll see my screen, correct?
Yep.
Okay, good. So the DataRobot is a tool that can be used to add all your data. It's a tool that can be built on machine learning and AI models, where it can be configured in training, and then based on the trained data that are already provided, can give you some predictions. So it's a tool can be used also programmatically. You can utilize it by linking it directly to your code and adding the data and giving you the prediction back. And also what I was doing is also you can link Zapier with your DataRobot model, again through code. But I will showcase first the DataRobot. So what I did, I already added some flight delays data in, which created some models and taking some actions in place. So this is the whole data, raw data provided to the system. So if I go through the modeling and the deployment of, so this is my deployment that I have already done. It takes some time in order to train and get the training and modeling in place. So based on the data that I provided to the model and the new predictions, it comes where it's a flight gonna be delayed or not. So we have only this high here. So it's a really cool thing, especially if we are using through code and massive data of the clients, providing it to the DataRobot, analyzing it, they will modelize it, and based on the new data, on the new expenses, on the new loans, on the new data that will be provided for the financial assistant, we'll be able to see the prediction if it's a good investment for the client needs or not. If it's high risk or low risk, again, based on the client data-oriented movements, financial knowledge, salaries, income and outgoing transactions. So it's a model, it's a tool that for sure can be used and should be used in order for your tools to be able to predict and provide more user-oriented, user-centric advices and recommendations. So as I was mentioning, this tool can also be integrated and utilized through Zapier, which again, if I use Google Sheet, can be used on Stripe or whatever the data will be, the new data will be in. But through code, you can add the data to the DataRobot, get the prediction, and then again, you can send it in notification, you can push it to your app, you can push it to Slack, or you can do another actions based on that. So it's not only using no code or low code tools, but you can also utilize both together, either no code or low code or some code, or all the tools together to develop your app. It's not a limitation, one or another.
Great, brilliant. So we'll move on to the next section now, where we'll just talk about how to kind of form a team and the types of roles you need within a team. So we'll put together all the attendees into teams before the event, and that will probably go out in the next couple of weeks. So you can start working on this now. But kind of just put together a bit of a guideline about what are the type of roles that someone's going to be doing within a team, because you want to be working efficiently as a team. And these are some of the types of roles that we would suggest. Thekla, do you want to talk through them?
For sure, for sure. So in order to create a product, you need to have specific roles in the team. Cannot one person do everything, think of everything, and have expertise on everything. So this is some key positions that we thought that will be essential for the hackathon squad that you're gonna build. So you need to have a person that will think the user experience, will think the colors, the buttons, what will be attractive, what will be how to show the notifications to the customer, the formats, fonts, and everything. And that person is the UI UX designer, which for sure will collaborate closely with your developer, your AI specialist, your project manager, but that person will be the one mainly responsible of the interface, the user interface, the customer journey, where the client will click, will need to see how the message will be presented and everything. Then for sure we'll have the backend, the backbone of the team is a backend developer. It's the one that will manage for sure the data structure, the efficiency, the security of handling of the financial data, the flows, how the flows will be done, which the data flows, how will be flowing from one app to another, the coding, if any coding is needed. So it's mainly of the integration of all AI functionalities and ensures the scalability of the application. Then we have the AI specialist. On the tool that I presented, it has machine learning models. You need to train it. You need to have somebody that is AI specialist, and their work will be mainly on the data analytics, on the machine learning, on the training models that needs to be done, so your predictions to be as much accurate as possible. And then we need to have somebody that will have all of them under control. This is the project manager. It's coordinating the team, will have the timelines, the milestones that ensures that the milestones are met, and manage the communication channels between all of them and resolves any blockers, if any. And for sure, you're gonna need a business manager. Is the one that will be responsible for the go-to-market. It's pitching, is the one that will be presenting, it's the one that will be the sales and the marketing of your application of what you're gonna build. Doesn't mean that business manager can be a new person, can be if needed, or can be one of the UX designer, backend developer, AI specialist, or project manager can do that work also in terms of pitching, marketing, and selling your product, your application that you're going to develop for us.
Yeah, this is not an exhaustive list as well. This is like a
Yes.
suggested list of roles. You know, there's like everyone is probably at the early days. You're all going to be doing a lot of researching. You're going to be looking at what else is out there. You're going to be talking about ideas for your products and managing those product ideas. So yeah, this is not an exhaustive list, just some suggested roles. But you're all going to be working, you know, together. In terms of managing a team as well, because probably, you know, some of you might be at university together, but there'll be lots of you that might be from different places. So you're going to have to manage a lot of this workflow virtually. So there's some tools that you're probably familiar with, like WhatsApp. You know, everyone uses that, but that's a great tool for obviously communicating in real time. But when you want to get a bit deeper than that, there's other tools like Trello and Asana. If you check those out, again, all of these tools are free to use. Trello is kind of like a very fancy to-do list, but it's very intuitive and easy to use, and it's a good way of segmenting up lots of individual tasks that maybe all together form one component of what you're looking at. So like a lot of people in technology use that for managing workflow. On a deeper level, there's things like Jira, which, you know, if you did start working in development in a technology company, you might start using something like that. But Trello is kind of the very friendly, easy to use version of that. Something like Google Sheets or just collaborative tools. You obviously got the Google Suite and the Microsoft Suite as well. You know, it's a very easy way just to be sharing information with each other. But again, in the early days of when you have your first conversations with your team members, it'd just be worth agreeing what's the tools you're going to be using, and it just makes everything more efficient. You don't really want to be doing, you know, kind of having conversations and sharing attachments on email because it's not very efficient. There's better ways of doing it than that. So that kind of wraps up really everything.
Okay, 1 minute, Matt, I was just going to mention here as well. If you're going to be writing code, you need to be using some kind of source control system. So ideally, just get an account on GitHub, and what that will do is it'll push your code into the cloud, and other people can pull it, and you can work on it collaboratively. And it also gives you like version history as well. What you don't want to be doing is like spend ages coding this app, and then when you come to demo it, find out you've accidentally deleted it locally on your machine and you've got no like backup of it. So before you write any line of code, set yourself up on GitHub and get source control installed on everybody's system.
Yeah, and that would only be applicable if you're doing the coding kind of version of this. If you're using something like Glide, then you wouldn't need to do that. But yeah, we'll share all these slides. We've got the WhatsApp community chat, which we'll share a link to when we email this out. And if you haven't actually registered for the event yet, please do so, because the tickets are selling out fast. And we want to get people together in their teams as soon as possible, because then you have, you know, more than a month to start building this application. Again, like we said, we're not expecting you to be building it within 3 hours on the day. I don't think that'd be a good use of your time. Part of this whole experience is for you to go through this process, learn these tools, and all of these things will be useful for you in your career and any conversations that you have. And then there'll be people at the event who you can talk to and ask very interesting questions to them, because everyone loves people that ask interesting questions, and you'll have lots of questions around some of these things we've been looking at on the day. So thank you for listening today. Any questions, best way to do it is ask in that WhatsApp community chat, and there'll be a link to that in the email. Thank you very much.